Morning YouTube. Now I've just been out this morning and I bought this pair of speakers that you can see on the table, and they are a pair of ROGERS LS55 floor standers. So me and James was up early this morning and went round this man's house to see these speakers because they was for sale on Gumtree. So I messaged the bloke and I've been round there this morning and I've bought them off him. So that was only about an hour ago. So they are ROGERS LS55 speakers. They are rated at 120 watt and they are 6 ohms. And they are a two-way speaker with a port in the back. So although they have got like two drivers in them and a tweeter, so they do look like a three-way speaker, they are not. These ROGERS are a two-way speaker. So them two drivers will be doing exactly the same. One of them is not a dedicated mid-range speaker. And from what I can tell, they was first produced in the early 90s, about 1993 these first came out, or that's what I read online. But the man that I bought these speakers off said he bought this pair in 1996 because he said he bought them a couple of weeks after he bought an AV receiver, and he said he found the receipt for that AV receiver the other day and it was in the summer of 1996. So the man had these speakers from new, and he has looked after these because they're quite old now, these speakers, if you think he bought them in 96. And the condition of these speakers is fantastic, so that man must have really looked after them. Apart from the cloth grills have got a few marks on them, and he said his cat done that years ago. But the actual speakers, the cabinets and that, are in fantastic condition. And he was a right nice bloke, this fella. Me and James was round there for ages this morning. So I didn't know this bloke or anything. It's just someone I'd sent a message to on Gumtree because he had a set of speakers for sale. So I've bought stuff off Gumtree and that loads before, and you never know what sort of person you're going to meet, do ya? And sometimes you get there and that person really does not want you in their house. They literally open the front door, show you the item. If you want it, you buy it. If you don't want it, they close the door. There is no way you are setting foot inside their house. They do not want you in there. So I didn't know if we was going to see someone like that today, but as soon as we got there, the bloke wasn't like that, because I pulled the car up outside, went to the front door, and he said, "Oh, hello, mate, you come to look at the speakers?" I went, "Yeah." He said, "Do you want a cup of tea or a coffee or anything like that?" I went, "Oh, I've got my mate sitting in the car, so I better not." He went, "Oh, well, does your mate want a coffee or a tea? Get him in here, don't leave him sitting in the car." So that was it. I got James out of the car, and there we both are, sitting in this bloke's house, drinking coffee and eating his biscuits, and chatting about our favourite subject, which is hi-fi, obviously, because it turned out the bloke was a little bit of an audiophile. So I'll just take the fronts off of these speakers and show you the drivers. And they are a bit strange how these fronts come off. Look, I'll show you. They don't go in the little sockets like a normal set of fronts. They've got like big rubber bungs on them that go in. So when you take the fronts off, you kind of take all the clip part out as well that holds them on. So you leave them like that with them holes in them and you can see all the wood, which is a bit of a strange way of doing it, but that's how ROGERS do it on some speakers. Because I've had a little set of bookshelf ROGERS before. They might have even been a smaller version of these. I think they was LS 35s or maybe 33s, and the fronts on them went on exactly the same. And James did embarrass himself because he went to the bloke, "Oh mate, all the clips are broken on them, you don't take 'em off like that, you should leave the back parts on and unclip 'em, you've taken 'em off wrong and broken 'em." I went, "James, that's the way they are." I went, "Sorry about him, mate." I said, "He might talk the hi-fi talk, but he doesn't walk the audio walk, if you know what I mean, mate." And the bloke laughed, and when he turned his back, James kicked me. And the bloke went, "No, I get where you're coming from." He said, "Because when I bought these speakers, I thought that was a bit strange." He said, "But I have seen online you can get a kit for if you want to use these speakers with the fronts off. They made like a kit of little bungs to block the holes up." And then the man's phone rung, so he went out the room again to get the phone, and James kicked me again. And he went to me, "Are you going to buy them speakers or what? Because if you're not buying them, I'm going to buy them." I went, "James, put your eyes back in your head. I am buying the ROGERS speakers. I really like 'em. So get your grubby little eyes off of 'em. And keep your mouth shut for 5 minutes, because I'm going to do the deal now, and I'm going to try and get the price down a little bit on 'em. And also, stop kicking me." And then a big smile went on James's face, and he kicked me again. And then the bloke walked back in, and he went, "Well, what do you think of the speakers then?" He went, "You can make me an offer if you want, 'cause to tell you the truth, I just really want 'em out of the way." And I thought, "Oh mate, don't tell me that. That is like the worst thing you could ever say to a buyer. You want them out of the way." And I went, "Oh yeah," I said, "I like 'em." I said, "But they do look like they might need a bit of re-gluing round the surrounds. They look like they are coming away a bit, and with one of the tweeters not working." And before I could say anything else, the bloke went, "Just give me this much for 'em." So he sort of halved the price. So I just went, "Right, I'll have them, mate, deal," and shook his hand. And I looked at James, and James just looked green with envy. So it really was like the easiest bit of haggling I have ever done to get the price down, because I didn't do anything and the bloke just halved the price. So that was it. I quickly got some money out before he changed his mind and paid him, and then the ROGERS were mine. And to tell you the truth, I would have been quite happy to have paid the bloke the original asking price that he was asking for 'em on Gumtree. But the ad did say "or near offer," so I was going to try and get him down a fiver or a tenner, because it's rude not to, isn't it? So the fact that I got 'em for half price really was a touch. So after I had bought 'em and paid me money, I said to him, "Now you can tell me the truth, and you can tell me how thrash these ROGERS are, and you can tell me that you play heavy metal really loud every day, and these speakers are on their way out." And he went, "Yeah, you're right there. I'll be glad to see the back of them speakers." He said, "I'm really into heavy metal, and I've played heavy metal on these speakers flat out every day for the last 25 years, so them speakers are knackered. And you've bought 'em now, so as the saying goes, one born every minute." And then he nudged James and he went, "That's right, innit, mate? One born every minute." And then they both laughed at me. So he did have quite a good sense of humour, this bloke. He was quite funny. And he went, "No, not really, boys." He said, "To tell you the truth, them speakers have never really been up loud." He said, "They've never had music played through 'em." He said, "I use 'em in my lounge as the front speakers on an AV setup." He said, "So they only get used when I watch movies, and I don't watch movies with the volume up really loud. I only have it low." So I went to him, "What, you never listen to music?" I said, "You don't like music, so on the odd Friday night or something like that, you don't crank the little AV setup up a bit and get tunes going through it?" He went, no, not on my AV. He said, I do like music. I listen to it all the time. He said, but I'm not listening to it through an AV setup. He said, I've got something better than that. He said, here, I'll come with me. I'll show you. So he led me and James through the hallway in his house to a room at the back. He went, here, this is where I listen to music. And he opened the door in this room and he had a proper nice listening room. He had a big sofa in there, big rack on one of the walls with a ton of vinyl in it. He had acoustic panelling round the wall. At the back, he had a big set of Celestion Ditton 44 speakers on a nice old set of stands, and then a little rack in the middle, and sitting on top of the rack was an old Rotel turntable, a big heavy one. It had a massive thick wooden base on it, and he's telling us all about it, how he changed the tone arm on it and changed the motor in it and done loads of stuff on it. All the leads inside it had been changed for better ones and all that. So this turntable this man had was really nice, and he had it running through a Yamaha CR800, like a vintage receiver, a big nice Yamaha receiver. So he had a really nice setup, and you could see why he was never going to listen to music through his AV. So I've got my tape measure around, and look, they are 34 inches tall. So they're not a really tall set of floor standers, but they're big enough. 34 inches or 86.5 centimetres. So let's see how wide they are. So the width of them is, it's about 9.25 inches or 23.5 centimetres. So let's see how deep they are. There they are, about 8 inches deep or about 20.5 centimetres. So I'll just put the camera down for a second and I'll turn them round and show you the back. And that there is my bottle of Captain Morgan's Tiki Rum, and that is coming away with me tonight, because me and the missus are staying in a hotel tonight and tomorrow night. So as soon as she gets home, we are off for a couple of nights away. So there you can see they've got a nice sized port on the back, and looking in there, they have got a HIFI tweeter. So HIFI, that is quite a high quality tweeter sitting in there inside the ROGERS. So there you can see ROGERS LS55s, made in England. So you see there, they got nice set of terminals on them. You can buy wire or buy amp these old ROGERS, and they have got a nice set of jumpers in them. So it's got the little label there where these was tested and checked before they left the factory. Same with this one, look, tested and checked before it left the factory. This one's the same, it's got both its jumpers in it. It's all nice, the back of this one. Ports right up the top. And I do think these ROGERS might have a good sound to them. They have got the potential to sound really well, because them drivers, they are the ROGERS polypropylene drivers, and I've had them in a lot of speakers before. They are a good driver. They are very fast and lively. And where these have got quite a nice big cabinet, although it's only chipboard, this cabinet, it is quite thick. So I do think these ROGERS have got the potential to be a really good sounding set of floor standers. Now I've just put the camera down again and I'll turn them back round. So I quite like these ROGERS so far. I know they need a tweeter, but I have looked on the computer and I will quite easily get one of them HIFI tweeters for these. It's not going to be hard to get one, but the chances are there might be nothing wrong with a tweeter. I don't know until I open them up and go through them, because there's always the chance that there is nothing wrong with a tweeter and it's something else causing that tweeter not to make sound. Because the bloke did say they was working fine, and then one day just noticed one sounded a bit flat and just realised the tweeter wasn't working on it. So it never made no popping noises or anything like that. It just stopped working one day. And the bloke did tell me what one didn't work, but I can't remember what one he said. What with all the excitement of listening to a load of vinyl and that in his listening room, I've clean forgotten what one he said wasn't working. 'Cause me and James was in the room with this bloke for about an hour, playing a load of music, listening to these Celestian speakers, and that Yamaha he had going, and that Yamaha was really nice. And jokingly I said to him, I really like that Yamaha, do you want to sell it? And he went, nah, I've only had that Yamaha about 2 months and I really like it, so that Yamaha is not going nowhere. But I have got a few other amplifiers and receivers, and one of them could possibly be for sale at the right price. And then he opened a cupboard in his room and it was all shelved out, and he had about 10 amplifiers and receivers in there. He had a big Harman Kardon, a big NAD, a couple of Marantz. He had some really nice stuff in this cupboard. He went, do you want to listen to one of these? I'll put one of these on next if you want. I said, oh mate, I really have got to go. I said, I'd love to have a listen to that Harman Kardon. I said, but I've got to go. I said, me and my missus are going away for Valentine's night tonight, so we booked a hotel up, so I've got to get home and get ready, because she's at work at the minute, and as soon as she gets home from work, we're off. I went, so I'd love to have a listen to some of your gear, but I really haven't got time today. So I'm just going to say thank you for my speakers, and thanks for the coffee and biscuits, and thank you for letting me listen to your system, because listening to that turntable really has been a privilege, so thanks for that. But I've really got to go. But can I just ask, are all them amps and receivers for sale? And he went, well, possibly one or two of them, 'cause I have got too many. I went, no, you're wrong there, mate. You can never have too many. And then he laughed. He said, I'll tell you what here. He said, take my number. He said, give me a ring another day when you've got some time. He said, and you and your mate can pop down another day and have a listen to some of this lot. He said, because it's been really nice talking to you. And he said, it's really nice to meet a couple of people who are into hi-fi. He said, because most people I know are not really interested in this lot. So it's nice to talk to someone who is interested in it. And I went, all right, mate, thank you for that. I said, I will ring you because I'd like to listen to some of that lot. He went, all right, have a nice weekend with your missus. And that was it. Me and James left and jumped in the car. And as soon as we got in the car, James went to me, you've pulled there, you got a new boyfriend. I said, what are you on about? He said, well, it is Valentine's Day and that bloke gave you his number. So me and James had a good laugh about that. And then we drove back here with my new bargain Rogers speakers safely in the boot. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.